everyone, it's Laurie from Cook Scrap Craft. Welcome back to the channel. Today I am introducing another process video for my personal Freaky Fest formula challenge that I'm doing this month. So this is actually the stuff for the February 2025 Freaky Fest formula challenge, which I did back in February. So there's a process video for that. I'll try to remember to link it down below. I kind of remember what I did for that. So for this one, I'm hoping maybe I can do something a little bit different. So we'll just kind of see how it goes. But essentially you've got four 4¼ by 4¼ squares. So I have two here. I mean, I could also do that because they're double-sided. And then I have two with this geometric print. And these, I mean, I could turn one over and have it just be white. I'm assuming these will be mats for the photos because that's what I did before, but you know, you never know, we'll see. And then I've got, let me arrange my strips. So I've got a 1½ by 7¾ that's this American Crafts geometric yellow paper. And then I've got some grid paper that I cut 1½ by 9, and then this craft cardstock, which is 2 by 11. So all of this together kind of makes me go like, what am I going to do? Especially if I'm trying to do something different. I think the last time I ended up making some sort of grid design. I don't really remember what I did with these pieces. But yeah, and then this is the background that I'm planning on using. It is some wood grain with hearts on it. And it is from the Jen Hadfield Flower Child collection. And if I can, I would like to also incorporate this branding strip pattern paper side. So because it adds more yellow, and since I've got yellow here, there's a little bit of yellow in here. I'm hoping that can all come together. So fingers crossed. Let's see how it works. Okay, so now we're into the process part of this, and I love the way that this ended up turning out. I really wanted to do something that was different from what I had done before with this design, and I really am loving this. So those paper strips, originally I was thinking like, could I do something where I was sort of making like corner borders, and that just wasn't really looking great. I feel like when you have these big squares, these are 4 by 4 squares, it's almost like they don't do a very good job of just being part of the background. So they really do have to be a photo mat. So I layered up the 3 paper strips, and there's nothing in the Freaky Fast formula instructions that say you can't cut them into something else. So I cut each one of them into a banner. And basically, to easily do that, I just take the bottom corners of the strip and put them together, and then very carefully cut on a diagonal, you know, without cutting my fingers. And there, voila, you have a banner. So I'm inking the edges of all of those. You know, the craft is kind of a lighter color, and then there's that white graph paper. And I wanted them to stand out a little bit more against the wood grain heart backdrop. So I'm just going to stick those down and layer them up. And that's going to be kind of like my big giant thing on the left-hand side. And then I have to figure out how to position everything for the right-hand side. Now, if you want to see the rest of my personal Freaky Fast formula challenges that I've been doing this month, I do have a May 2025 challenge playlist, so definitely check that out if you've missed any of the other ones. And before we go any further, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please consider doing so that you don't miss out on other scrapbook process videos that I'm doing, including the rest of my May challenges. And follow me on my social media channels. You can usually find me pretty much anywhere at Cook Scrap Craft. All right, so I've got my 4 squares, and I've done, you know, I cut them out, 2 of the same pattern and then 2 of another pattern that were the same, but I'm doing the stripes and the geometrics on top, and then geometric and stripes on the bottom. And instead of making them be a straight grid, I'm going to do a little diagonal. So I'm tucking that striped paper behind the banner strips. And you can see I've got my photo there just to make sure that I have enough space to like stick a photo behind there as well without too many things getting covered up. And so I've inked the edges on all of those squares, and now I'm just going to position everything in this sort of diagonal and get the photos down. So I'm going to have 2 photos up on the top starting behind the banner, and then the other 2 photos on the bottom are going to be moved over a bit to the right, and they're not going to be behind the banner. And these are the last 4 pictures from my August 2023 vacation. I actually have all of the pictures, all of the pages in a scrapbook, and I do have a single page, a single area for a single page layout for this one. I have space for it already. So once this is done, I can pop it in that album and it's pretty much going to be complete. I say pretty much because I did have a pocket page for some zoo photos from that trip. And I had these 2 photos with animals in them. And I really wanted to include them, but I didn't have enough to do like 2 sets of the pocket page. And so what I thought is I could add a photo flap to part of that and add those photos in through there. I don't have a photo flap yet. So eventually at some point I need to order some photo flaps because I know Joanne isn't going to have them. And I'm sure you can get them from scrapbook.com. So I'll have to place an order and get some of those so that I can get those last 2 zoo photos just stuck down onto that pocket page. Is it a big deal if I don't include these 2 zoo photos? No, it's really not. I just thought, I have these photos. They've got the animals in them, and I just really wanted to include them to show all the different animals that we saw at the zoo. But I guess it's not a big deal if I have to just trash those photos that I printed. Not a big deal. Anyway, so for these photos, these were taken at Cave of the Winds in Colorado. And before you go into the cave, you're kind of waiting for the tour to start. And so there's a lot of outdoor things to explore, some Adirondack chairs that have the Colorado state flag painted on them. You can do cornhole, just look at the beautiful scenery of the mountains. And so that's what these photos are of. So these are really starting that sequence of cave photos. I think if you remember from my layout share, the rest of the photos are in pocket pages pretty much. And then I think I have 2 of my daughter with some photo ops that were taken after we did the cave tour. So this starts that series of photos, and I'm looking for embellishments that meet the color scheme, but also have something to do with travel and summer. So there's a Nothing But Sunshine Simple Story sticker up at the top, and then my title is Travel Notes, and that comes from an American Crafts puffy sticker sheet that I do have to use my Elmer's glue to stick down. Then I'm going to add in, there's a little, I have got little arrow sticker that says good stuff, and I'm going to add a yellow gem sticker. I chose yellow because there's the banner strip that has the yellow in it. So I was like, let's bring more of that color into this. And then also from that American Crafts puffy sticker sheet, there are some hearts, some puffy hearts. And so I'm going to be including those as well on this layout. So again, up at the top, you can see I've added in the gem sticker. I'm going to add in another puffy heart. I'm starting to build out the embellishment cluster going underneath the Nothing But Sunshine. So there's another simple story sticker that says Rollin' Into Summer that I've added down there. I am going to add another sticker as well to go below that and really keep building out that embellishment cluster. I know it's not, there's going to be more than 3 things going on. So then I was looking in this other Simple Stories embellishment pack that I had, and I found this photo frame, and it's not big enough to use as an accent to go over one of these photos. So I decided I was just going to cut the bottom of it off, basically cut it in half. And since the bottom of it is sort of a, what would I call that yellow? It's not a bright yellow, but it's a darker yellow. And so I'm just going to make it look like it's popping out from behind the 2 bottom photos. And then I'm going to use that as an anchor point for another little embellishment cluster to go underneath the title, which is Travel Notes, as you can see. And then from under there, I'm adding in another yellow gem sticker, another one of those puffy hearts. And then I have a Vicky Booten sticker sheet, and it had these, I think they're daisies, right? The yellow flower petals with the white flower petals with the yellow circle. So there were 2 of them. I wish there had been more. I think there was a 3rd one, but I used it on another layout. But if there had been 3, I would have added a 3rd one in the other embellishment cluster above the title, but whatever. I was just making it work. So I'm adding in 2 of those. So there's a small one down at the bottom, and then I'm going to put a big one up at the top. So before I do that, there's another Simple Story sticker that says Golden Rays, which I like because it's in yellow, and then it was a very sunny morning. And then I'm using another Simple Stories from the flea market collection to use one of those paper sticker journaling spots. And I wrote it down first before I peeled it off because I didn't want to stick it down onto the photo and then, you know, write it wrong or not have enough room and then have to like try to peel it up. So of course, the first one I wrote on, I did screw it up. So I had to do a second one. And that's why I'm glad I didn't stick it down until after I wrote on it. But I didn't really like the little image that's off to the side on that. So I was looking for something else that I could use to cover it up. Do I have another embellishment? And that's when I went back to the Vicky Boutin flower. So that's kind of tying those two elements together to have one at the top and one at the bottom. Like I said, if I'd had a third one, I would have put it up by the good stuff and the other heart. However, I just didn't. So it's fine. I still have basically a triangle. I have my 3 embellishment clusters. So I'm still working with a group of 3 in that way. They just don't all, and they all have similar elements, you know, the gem stickers, the puffy hearts, but a couple of other additions to them. And that's really pretty much it. I didn't have to do a whole lot of embellishing on here. You'll see in the close-ups because the photos take up so much room. I really like how this one turned out, and it's definitely a design that I would do again. So give this video a thumbs up if you found it inspiring, and follow me on social media and tag me if you do one of these challenges as well. I'd love to see what you create. Thanks for watching. Bye.